For our next chapter video summary here, we're going over Chapter 5 and Chapter 6. Chapter 5 is the Constitution and its principles, and Chapter 6 is white-collar crime and the business community. So in Chapter 5, we're going to hit the high points here of what the Constitution is, how it's divided, and what federalism is, the separation of powers, and how each power is used in the economy. So to start off here, the Constitution, it provides the legal framework for the nation. It is in articles based on structure of government, specifies the rules of state and federal governments, and it has amendments that establish and protect individual rights. So the next part here is federalism. It's division of political power between a central authority and constitutional political units. It's broken up into local governments that control local matters, and the federal government that powers are specified by the Constitution, and the powers are not specifically given to the federal government or are reserved by the state. The separation of powers is it's part of the Constitution that doctrines where the different branches of government are and what powers they have. Three branches of government are the legislative branch that enacts laws and appropriates funds. The executive branch sees the laws are faithfully executed, and then the judicial branch interprets the laws, and the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and they're charged with ensuring that the laws are faithfully executed. There's a couple examples here of when each different system of or separation of powers are used and the different legal systems are used. Some impact the amendments have on the business. The Bill of Rights, which is broken into the first 10 amendments, prohibit federal government from infringing on certain freedoms granted by individuals, and corporates are treated as an artificial person. And then the 14th Amendment also affects businesses, and that applies to the entire Bill of Rights, accepting parts of the Fifth Amendment to all the states. So what the First Amendment states is it guarantees the freedom of speech, press, and religion. Everyone knows that. And it guarantees the right to assemble peacefully and petition the government to reduce their grievances. And the 14th Amendment protects the right of individuals to be secured in their persons, homes, or personal property, and prohibits the government from conducting unreasonable searches of individuals and seizing their property. It requires a reasonable cause and warrant for searches, so the government can't just come into your house and take your guns without a certain reasoning if you're a harm for other people. The Fourth Amendment here it's the exceptions in conducting of warrantless administrative searches. So it's just saying that there must be substantial government interest in you for them to be able to search something that you own. The Fifth Amendment protects individuals against self-incrimination, double jeopardy, and guarantees the right to jury by trial. So what that amendment is, it's if I were to be convicted of murder and I get away with it, I'm not able to be convicted of murder again, even if I confess to it. The Fifth Amendment also goes through procedural due processes and substantive due processes. The 14th Amendment is the last thing here I'll talk about, Chapter 5, and that applies the Bill of Rights and Due Processes Clause to the states. And the Due Processes Clause, as I said earlier, that I forgot to actually talk about, the procedural and their steps to which individuals are entitled before losing their life, liberty, and property. And the substantive is a requirement of the law depriving individuals of liberty and property to be fair. The 14th Amendment, as I'll come back to here, it has the Equal Protection Clause, prevents states from denying equal protection of laws to any citizen, prohibits discrimination that's based on a sufficient justification. Chapter 6 now is white-collar crime and the business, as I said earlier in the video, and we'll go over through some crime and criminal procedures, distinguishing white-collar crime, prevention of white-collar crimes, and some common white-collar crimes. So, criminal law punishes offenders for causing harm to the public health and safety or morals, determines the range of punishment prohibited for the conduct. Some classification of the crime are treason, engaging in war against one of those country or giving aid to comfort its enemies. we hear that and more in like the war sense of people betraying the country, of giving them top secret government intel. Felonies are serious crimes punishable by death or imprisonment. Misdemeanors, crimes, or lesser severity than felonies, punishable by fine or imprisonment. And then petty crimes are minor crimes that are punishable. So the procedure here is the rest, and that is you seize and hold on authority of law. Probable cause is reasonable inference from available facts and circumstances that expected committed the crime. And your Miranda rights, that's just they're telling you all the rights that you have, like you have the right to a lawyer. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. You can wait for a lawyer to get there to talk to him. And some examples of white-collar crime would entitle white-collar crime in general is committed in a commercial context by a member of the professional managerial class. It requires to hold corporations liable, so like they must conduct with the scope of employee, agents, authority, and actions taken to be proven to be some benefit to the corporation. Some arguments that are supporting the corporate criminal liability are fines will be pressurized shareholders. If corporates are not being held liable, incentives to obey the law can be absent. Investigating a corporation is easier and convenient, and collective decision making should be not provide means of escape from punishment. Some arguments against corporate criminal liability. It makes scapegoats out of employees that must be avoided. It's unfair to allow shareholders to benefit from illegal activities, and it punishes shareholders in misguiding. And some white-collar crimes here that we see are bribery, offerings or givings, violation of federal regulations, criminal fraud, larceny, and embezzlement. And we actually see a lot of bribery and embezzlement in businesses today. Some other crimes that we see from the technical standpoint or the technology standpoint is what we actually will be probably seeing more nowadays, using the computers to commit traditional crimes, downloading viruses that can destroy businesses, entering fake data to make your business look better. And some ways to prevent white-collar crimes are replace state and federal chartering, appoint general public defenders, link fines that obtain